I traveled 1,300 miles from Tampa, Florida to Frisco, Texas to see the infamous video of what happened between Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony on April 22nd, 2025 at Kirkendall Stadium. If you don't believe that a video exists, I guarantee you that it does, and I saw it with my own eyes. Granted, this isn't likely the only video that they have, and I'm pretty sure that they probably have video that shows a lot more details. But for what I did see, helped me to get an understanding about some of the things that happened on that fateful day. I've listened to the accounts of others that have gone to see this video, and what I've heard has ran the gamut. The news initially said that what was shown was grainy, and others that went to see it said that you could see some things. Some said that you saw multiple people approach the tent right before an altercation happened, and some said that you couldn't see anything and that nothing happened. I'm going to spare you the fluff and my personal rant about how Frisco ISD violated my rights, and I'm going to get right into this video and how I got the opportunity to see it. I made a public information request when I found out that you could go to Frisco ISD administration building to see this video. From the time I made the request to the time that I was actually able to schedule a date was about 12 days. And I chose July 17th at 3 p.m. This was the day before Carmelo Anthony was supposed to appear before the judge after formally being indicted. That court date didn't happen, by the way, but I flew into Dallas on the 17th, the same day that I was supposed to have this appointment. When I got to Dallas, one of the first stops that I actually made was the Kirkendall Stadium, and I took a lot of great footage, and I really wanted to go to get a layout. I've covered this story in depth. So being at that stadium felt a little surreal. It was almost as if I could visualize where the tents were based on the videos that I had seen and all of the photos that I had looked at up until this time. I spent about 45 minutes at the stadium, and then I started driving over to Frisco ISD administration building. I got there an hour early, but I walked up to the double doors. I rang the buzzer. Can we help you? Yes, hi. I have an appointment here at 3, and I let them know that I was there to see the video. They buzzed me in, they scanned my ID, they gave me a visitor's badge, and they asked me to have a seat in the lobby. What I didn't know at the time was that they were waiting on one more person before they took us to the room where we would watch this video. Just a little before 3 p.m., Michelle came and got us from the lobby. She walked us down the hall to some elevators and took us up to the second floor to this office. Inside of this office was a desk, and a sheriff's officer or a police officer was sitting at that desk. And to the left of that desk was a conference room where we would watch the video. Before we could enter into the conference room, Michelle asked us to sign a document stating that we wouldn't record, that, and a few other things. After we signed that document, Michelle asked for us to put our phones and our personal items on the desk, and she invited us into the room. This conference room had a long table in the center of it. There were chairs all around it, and the video screen was up on the wall. Michelle let us know that we could not stand to watch this video, that we had to sit down, and that there was no pausing, fast forward, or rewinding. Given the fact that I wear glasses, I was going to prepare to do the best that I could because I was not going to leave without seeing that video. When Michelle pulled up that video, I took a deep breath. I couldn't believe that I was actually looking at it. Michelle asked us if we would like to start from 2 minutes before the incident happened or 11 minutes before the incident happened, and we chose 11 minutes. Before Michelle pressed play, she pointed out where the tent was and where the altercation took place. She pointed out where the field house was. This field house doubles as an employee wellness clinic for Frisco ISD employees, and I guess like a medical center or place for the athletes on game days. I also learned that this building was where the police officers allegedly took witnesses to get them out of the rain. The quality of the video was very good. It actually looked something a little bit like this picture above me, except for it wasn't as vividly colored. The security camera that showed this footage was located on the home side of the field near the press box. Because the camera was so far away and because we couldn't zoom in, you couldn't really make out faces, but you could tell, like, these are people. This person has on a poncho, like, these people are walking, like, you could see those kind of things. I was not able to identify Austin, Hunter, or Karmelo under the tent, but at one point in the video, I did recognize Karmelo. Memorial's tent sat at about the 50-yard line, and it was a few steps up into the bleachers, and it was kind of near the aisle. The video was cropped in a way to where you can only see like some of Memorial's tent. We know that Liberty's tent was really close to Memorial's tent, but the way the video was cropped, we couldn't see, you know, past Memorial's tent part that was cut off. We couldn't see Liberty, and we couldn't see what other people were doing on the other side of the visitors' side. I noticed that multiple people appeared to be under Memorial's tent, and there was a person in a yellow poncho that really stood out that was just kind of hanging out in front of the tent for most of this video. The video that I viewed was about 30 minutes long. So we started watching 11 minutes before the incident happened. The incident probably took place, in about a 30 seconds to a minute time frame. And then it was about 15 minutes of, the ambulance showing up, sitting there, and things like that. It had been raining on and off, and you could see that in the video. You could see when the rain picked up because it was bouncing off of the bleachers, and you could see that the track was wet. And actually, on the home side in the stands, I recall seeing somebody standing up there with the umbrella, and there were a few other people scattered around the home side in the bleachers. Before the incident happened, you pretty much saw people any and everywhere. Like there were people on the visitor side and like the little, I guess, like almost kind of like a tunnel stairwell. You saw people walking back and forth on the curved sidewalk. You could kind of see students like standing along the gate of the curved sidewalk that takes you over to the wellness center, and I guess you could walk over that way to get to the home side. There were people on the field, and I recall maybe seeing a few people here and there on the track. Like I said, it was raining on and off, and you could tell that the students or the people that were there were trying to shelter themselves. Students were walking in groups and by themselves, and everybody was just kind of commingling. Like I could not tell a separation in teams or anything like that. Shortly before the incident took place, it started to rain. And I remember because I saw people kind of speeding up. And at first, I thought the video was going a little bit faster. However, it turns out that it was actually raining. And the person that was there with me helped me to understand that because that was his third time coming to see the video. Given my limitations, unfortunately, I was not able to give timestamps because actually there were like three different times on this video screen, and so it was a little confusing. But I knew that the 11 minutes was winding down, and so I focused my eyes and my attention as best as I could on the tent, which was at the, top left part of the screen. And I'm glad that I looked when I looked because just a few seconds after staring at that screen, you see Carmelo come from the top part of the tent and kind of goes a few steps up the bleachers. It looks like he kind of looked to his left and looked to his right, and he darted down diagonally towards the bottom of the bleachers. Like he took off running. Karmelo was fast. I don't know if it was because it was slippery or if he tripped on something, but he did fall at like the base of the bleachers and he got up and he took off running again. And as soon as he took off running, you see a couple other students take off running in the same direction as he was running shortly after he took off. Because I couldn't look at two places at once, eventually I lost where Carmelo ran to, and I didn't see where those other people ran to as well. I was trying to focus on what happened after that. I remember seeing people scatter quickly from under the tent. I just don't remember if they scattered as Carmelo was running down the bleachers or if they started running after he got up and started running again. Please hear me when I say that I took no pleasure in trying to identify where Austin was at that point. Again, you couldn't see faces, but I knew Carmelo was Carmelo because on the photo of him being arrested, you see him in dark colored pants and a light colored gray hoodie. As I was looking like towards the tent area, you did see someone almost kind of like sit down, kneel down, or fall near the fence, like right above like the 50-yard line. I wasn't sure if that was Austin. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was a trainer, but I do know that when I saw that person go down in motion, that is kind of where people started gathering and people were there for quite a few minutes and actually until the ambulance arrived. At one point in the video, I think that some people are aware that something had just happened and something is going on because you do see some people almost kind of like standing. I believe they were standing on the field and they were looking towards that direction. I found this photo on TikTok, and this was allegedly when they were waiting for the ambulance to arrive. Eventually, the cops and the paramedics show up. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't recognize when these police officers arrived on the scene, but because the ambulance is pretty big and you can see it, I did see when the ambulance pulled into the fence, drove onto the track to the area where I saw this white shirt on the ground. Once the ambulance pull up, it kind of blocks that view so you can't really see what happens. But you could see when the first responders take the gurney out of the back. I think that they realized that they couldn't get the gurney through the fence where it was, so they had to walk it back towards the entrance, go around the gate to get on the sidewalk and walk along the curved pathway back towards where Memorial's tent was and where these people that I saw were. I remember looking down to give my eyes a break because I was really like straining to try to see. People before me got to stand up and get in close and look, but unfortunately, myself and the person that I was with were made to sit down. And a few seconds after that, I noticed that the crime scene tape was up, and I also saw that the tarp had been placed over the alleged murder weapon. I did not see when the police did it, but I did see the police as they were kind of like around the memorial tent and near the crime scene tape. It was like one or two officers, and I believe they had on like dark color uniform clothing. As I looked around the screen, I was able to identify what I believe were additional police officers because they had on like these yellow raincoats that had on reflective tape. And I know that I've seen those with maybe like traffic police or law enforcement officers that are working in the rain. One of the things that I did notice was that there really didn't seem to be a sense of urgency to get Austin on that stretcher and get him into that ambulance to get him into the hospital. It almost seemed as if things were moving kind of slow, but eventually the ambulance backed up towards the entrance so that they could pretty much just wheel him around that curb and put him into the ambulance. But once they put him in the back of that ambulance, it sat there for a couple more minutes. And I just remember thinking like hurry up, like go, like do something. But at that point I was a little frustrated and I was ready to go at that point. So we decided to not look at the video anymore. I want to apologize for not being able to report as thoroughly and as in detailed as I hope that I would have been able to. But unfortunately, due to my limitations and again, not being accommodated, I just had to work with what I was given or go back to Florida with nothing. If you listen to other people's stories, chances are some of them may be different. Again, when you're looking at this screen, it's kind of hard to focus in on one part or try to see what's going on in one part and missing other things that are happening on the other side of the screen because you can't look at both places or all of these places at once to get like the full scope of what was truly going on. So I did not see the altercation. I did not see a book bag. I did not see a weapon. I did not see the interaction in any capacity. This isn't to say what did or didn't happen because, again, and
And
some
everyone
people
else
got
that
to stand
watched the
up
day
and
that
get
I
in
watched
close.
and after me had to sit down. So for me personally, the things that I saw didn't prove or disprove self-defense. It wasn't enough to prove that Austin and Hunter were or were not the aggressors or bullies on that day. Please do not use my account of what I saw to try to prove or disprove or push any narratives because my account is truthful and it's what I saw. So if you're following this case or you want to follow this case all the way through, please like and share this video and make sure you subscribe and turn on your notification bell. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.